Himitsu rushed over to me the same instant.
Niko-kun, are you alright?
Yes, of course. Like, I'm the one who punched a dude. What do you mean, am I alright? I replied calmly while examining my slightly swollen fist. Surprisingly, I wasn't shaking with adrenaline, as might have been expected. Everything must have happened too suddenly.
Iwamura-senpai?
In all the commotion, I'd forgotten all about the chief cause of this kerfuffle. She stood silently, peering sullenly at us from under her eyebrows. You alright?
Fighting is prohibited on school grounds,
She said quietly. What? A dumb smile spread across my face. I looked over at Himitsu. She looked just as confused as I was.
I'm saying that there was no need to get into a fight.
In case you haven't noticed, I was kind of defending you.
They would have left in the end.
Iwamura went silent for a second, then looked up at me. Her eyes flashed, but just as quickly her indifferent demeanor returned.
They always do.
Regardless, you could at least say thank you. It's just common courtesy. I was even more upset now than a minute earlier. And not only here, but in the whole wide world. Iwamura's only response was to raise her chin, snort, and quickly make her way towards the school gate. That's just unreal.
I told you not to get involved.
Himitsu said quietly.
But you did act like a real hero.
Some hero, right? Where have you seen heroes like this? In movies, the heroes get thanked for saving someone.
But you didn't do it for the sake of gratitude, did you?
Himitsu kept smiling, which made me flustered. We'll see what sort of gratitude the teachers give me. I grumbled. Come on, let's go. Another routine school day had now begun. I couldn't remember my Russian school at all, even though I'd attended it for an entire 6 months. But for some reason, it seemed to me that schools were more or less the same everywhere in the world. As were people. Really, how many ways could there be to get stuff into a kid's noggin? If Marconi and Popov could, independently of each other, invent the radio, why couldn't identical best practices emerge in education at opposite ends of the earth? A shout from the teacher snapped me out of these thoughts. Whatever school was like in Russia, school here was pretty strict. There was a reason, after all, why this was one of the best schools in the country. My class consisted largely of the children of rich and famous businessmen, politicians, showbiz stars. Sometimes I felt out of place here. But then, even among this elite, there were people who were almost ordinary. One such person, Kyosuke, came up to me during break. Oh, hello, you round friend. I had known Kyosuke since middle school. He came across as a down-to-earth guy with none of the attitude of the local privileged youth. That's a plus. Hey Nick, did you hear what happened this morning? Bro, I felt what happened this morning. What are you talking about? I looked around the classroom and spotted one of the girls that had been harassing Iwamura. She gave me a mean look, then quickly went back to what she had been doing. Whatever. No, what happened? I asked, even though I know perfectly well what Kyosuke was referring to. This morning at the school gate. Kyosuke lowered his voice. There was a brawl. Some word for it. Couldn't they think of a better one? Yeah, well, I'm aware. What do you mean? Did you? His eyes lit up. He leaned in towards me and then continued at a rapid-fire pace. Are you the guy? The one who punched Kurosaki from Class B? Somehow I neglected to ask his name. I answered proudly, and immediately winced. There was nothing to be proud of here. Everyone was going to gossip about what a dangerous bully I was. No one was going to remember that I had actually saved a poor girl from harassment. Don't get the wrong idea. I was just defending. My eyes were scouring the classroom in search of Iwamura. I was defending. She wasn't there. Was I really looking to her for proof of my heroic deed, for a confirmation that I wasn't just a troublemaker? Well, anyway, I was defending a girl. A girl? Who? Kyosuke squinted. Don't know who she is. Anyway, what's the matter? It was a natural reaction, you know? Anyone in my place. I looked up at Kyosuke. Any decent person would have done the same. Uh-huh. Yeah, sure. Don't forget to introduce me to this mystery girl of yours. He seemed to want to add something, but at that moment, the school bell rang. He didn't need to know that the girl was Iwamura. She had it pretty rough as it was. And again, maybe part of the blame lay with her. The next lesson was contemporary Japanese. I've been in Japan for 10 years now, and speak the language fluently, of course, but writing still gives me grief at times. When the break arrived, I rushed out of the classroom to avoid a continued conversation about the morning's incident. Kyosuke could be pushy and persistent, but he didn't entirely lack tact, so I was probably being too cautious. English was next, came much more easily to me. I spent the better part of the lesson gazing out at the sports ground where a soccer match was taking place. Soon my thoughts took me far from school, to the day when cherry petals were falling. Fall was here, and that meant that the trees would soon be shedding their foliage again. The color palette might be different this time, but would my feelings remain the same? A couple more weeks, a month at most, and I would know. The bell recalled me to reality, and my stomach started gurgling noisily.
Didn't have breakfast today? Let's make a cafeteria run.
You're always ready to chow down.
Where there's a whole body, there's a whole mind.
A whole lot of body, more like it. I was, however, really hungry, and I didn't want to wait till lunch.
Alright, let's go.
Oh wait, that was Nikolai. Whatever. The memory of Himitz's healthy, balanced breakfast was still fresh in my mind. I wanted to eat something unhealthy, but delicious. Sadly, food poisoning was not on the menu. The cafeteria, like everything else at this school, was first rate. I couldn't tell you if the food here was on par with what they serve in the world's top restaurants, as I hadn't been to one, but on the whole I had no complaints. Besides, the menu had plenty of European options. No borscht among them, of course. We entered the cafeteria. Kyosuke was babbling on about some new magical girl anime. You know, he looks the type. I don't call myself a huge anime fan, but I watch them sometimes too. I feel that. Though if you had to put my enthusiasm for them on a scale, I was far from Kyosuke as Tokyo is from Moscow. Suddenly, BAM! Something jabbed my side. Not too hard, but enough to be felt. On top of that, I was doused with a liquid. A girl, holding a tray, popped up from behind. I was dripping with orange juice while she gazed in bewilderment at the fruit of her labor. Hey, careful! I was more frustrated than angry. She didn't react in any way, so she just kept looking at me in surprise. Finally, she seemed to come to her senses.
You're the one who should watch where you're going.
What? I was so taken aback, I smiled like an idiot and even retreated a step. Meanwhile, the girl scowled and glared at me.
I said, watch where you go instead of sleepwalking.
You were actually the one who bumped into me.
And why would I bump into you?
Oh my god, I already do not like you. I was lost for an answer. The girl was talking nonsense, but she was doing it so confidently that I couldn't help but question my own judgment. And why would I?
How should I know? You're the one who bumped into me.
Alright, you got me. It won't happen again. Snapped back and was prepared to leave.
Wait,
She said quietly.
you're, well, all wet.
Yeah, no shit. It's almost like something bumped into me and spilled on me. It's crazy. I looked myself over. Not the prettiest of pictures, to be sure. And what do you suggest? A joint trip to the shower?
Me? I wasn't. How could you even think?
The surprise and confusion on her face gave way to indignation. Here was an insulted and humiliated victim, and I, the culprit, naturally. Okay, just forget it. Everything's fine.
Wait.
Her tone changed faster than the weather in the tropics.
Here, take this.
She handed me a handkerchief. I accepted it without an argument, was about to thank her when she snorted, turned on her heel, and left to join her girlfriends at the far end of the cafeteria. What a strange girl.
Nick, you.
Started Kyosuke when I sat down at our table. He was flaring his nostrils and gasping like a fish out of water.
Do you know who that was?
No, who?
That was Ellie-sama.
He looked probingly at me as though expecting me to exclaim, "Oh, Ellie-sama, you mean her?" Sama who? I inquired coolly.
How could you not know? And you want people to believe you're a student here?
I don't want that. That's what the paperwork says.
If only you paid more attention to what goes on around you.
Alright, enough suspense already, just tell me. He was clearly chomping at the bit. Kyosuke repositioned himself more comfortably on his chair, assumed a serious look, and began.
Ellie-sama, she's like the school queen. She has perfect grades. She's great at sports. She's won awards at the national, no, not even, the international level.
Not the interplanetary? What a relief.
Anyone would consider it an honor to be acquainted with her.
Did I ever spill a drink on you? Is that what you mean? Kyosuke ignored me and carried on.
I'd give up my entire manga collection to have her start a conversation with me.
Ugh, creepy. Your entire collection?
Okay, half.
I squinted.
Fine, a third.
Alright, I get it. I should expect the police to show up at my door now and await my sentence. Death by glares. Except, hold on a second. I'm completely innocent.
You don't get it at all.
Kyosuke sighed.
Then again, maybe you should expect the police. After all, her grandfather's the chairman of the school's board of directors.
And what am I supposed to do now? Keep apologizing to her? She was the one who bumped into me and spilled juice all over me. He sighed again and returned to eating. I turned slowly and looked in the direction of the school queen. Judging by the lively conversation and laughter coming from her table, at least I had already forgotten all about the incident with my lowly serf self. The juice dried pretty quickly, leaving behind noticeably yellow stains on my white shirt. I didn't really care about my appearance, but the school had its standards and didn't take kindly to such sloppiness. So I had to change to a jersey and track jacket. After another uneventful lesson, it was time for the long break, also known as lunchtime. Had I agreed to meet Himitsu for lunch? I couldn't remember. I could just go for a stroll around the school, seeing as I had eaten only an hour earlier. Interesting choices, interesting choices. I'm feeling like... I don't like how, like, the one you're selecting is lighter. Like, you'd think, like, the one you're selecting would be the darker of the two, but no. For sure, when I press up, it's the lighter one that's selected. I don't like that. That's weird. Like, I like Himitsu. She's nice. I don't know where I'm going with this, but let's go for a stroll. I want to explore what the rest of the school has to offer. I know there's one more love interest we haven't been introduced to yet, and I'm thinking maybe if we go for a stroll we might run into him. I don't know. One thing was certain. I couldn't stay in the classroom. Actually, I just didn't want to listen to Kyosuke's empty chatter for another half hour. More stories about anime, manga, and school gossip. New stories every day, all equally meaningless. Not that I didn't like Kyosuke. He was a good friend, but I doubted he could be much of assistance when my mind was occupied with something altogether different from magical girls. I was going to have lunch with Himitsu, but I told Kyosuke otherwise. The hallways in the schoolyard were all crowded with students. That's when it dawned on me. The roof. The roof wasn't the most popular spot. Wonder why. I quickly stopped by the cafeteria to pick up some rolls and a bottle of milk. Hell yeah. Oof. You gotta love going to the roof. The door's hinges, badly in need of lubrication, screeched horribly as a powerful gust of wind welcomed me up. I was forced to take a step back and grab the stair railing to steady myself. Then I found myself on the roof. The bright sun was blinding, but at least there was no one here. Or was there? At the far end of the roof, a girl was sitting on a bench and eating a bento. It was Iwamura. Yeah. She was gazing out into the distance towards the horizon, looking dreamy. Ooh. So the quiet girl who keeps to herself, likes to spend time up on the roof? Sounds like another character I'm quite a fan of. Let's go. I hesitated to approach her, remembering this morning's incident. What was I going to say to her? The roof seemed too small for both of us at that moment. On the other hand, I looked stupid just standing there. If I turned around now, she would think I was scared. What was there to be afraid of anyway? I approached her slowly and stood nearby. Reluctantly, Iwamura granted me her attention. Apparently, she had been aware of my presence all along, which meant I did the right thing. I remembered how she behaved in the morning after that tussle with those bullies. And after that, I was supposed to feel awkward around her. Or guilty. Can I sit here? Iwamura shrugged her shoulders and scooted over to one side of the bench. I sat down, opened the bag containing my simple lunch, and glanced furtively at Iwamura's bento. It seemed just as good as Himitsu's. Well, if Iwamura really was poor, it stood to reason that she knew how to cook. You know, I still felt awkward around her, which was really bugging me. What? If I spoke my mind, was I going to get the same reaction as earlier? I was wondering, why are those jerks after you this morning? Why do you care? How about because I was directly involved in that incident? Had the police been there, I would have gone to the books as an accomplice. They're always harassing me. What, just because, for no reason at all? You wouldn't understand. Maybe she was right. I'd never been bullied. I don't know the full story, sure, but it seems to me that nothing happens without a reason. Everyone has their own reasons. Iwamura said cryptically. But there are... laws? I don't know. It's not right. Laws? She pulled away from her bento, turned towards me, and looked at me severely. Laws exist for normal people, not for people like them. Yeah, Iwamura knows what's up. Or for people like you. Should I remind you that I was the one who... saved you would have sounded inappropriate. I was the one who helped you. She said nothing back and resumed eating. You could at least have said thanks. Thanks, said Iwamura quietly. Now we're getting somewhere. She slammed her lunchbox closed and stood up briskly from the bench. Thanks again. Enjoy your meal. She snapped back without so much as looking at me and left. Right. See you later. I muttered to myself, quickly finished my lunch, and left for class. Kyosuke was already waiting for me there, grinning ear to ear. So, how was lunch with Himitsu-chan? Fine. Where was he going with this? Oh, really? So that was some other Himitsu who came looking for you 5 minutes ago? Didn't you know she has a twin sister? Her name is Shinjitsu. Yeah, sure. I swear, Himitsu is the good one, and Shinjitsu is the evil one. Or the other way around. You got very lucky, by the way, because her superpower was sucking the souls out of fat and excessively curious otaku. Whatever, man. Kyosuke sounded offended and went back to his desk. Well, I mean, yeah, you called him fat for no reason. Like, it's one thing to call him an otaku, which he clearly is, but like, there's like specifically fat ones. Like, Jesus, dude, come on. Easy. He's just trying to like give you a little shit. He's like, yeah, I see you're fucking with me. And it's like, yeah, okay, fatty. It's like, goddamn, man. Chill it. Chill out, homie. Dial it back. The school day was coming to a close. Worn out students had started counting off the minutes. There was still one more class to go. Himitsu stopped in during the break to remind me that we had agreed to go shopping after school. At first I had trouble figuring out what she was even talking about. The teacher was trying, unsuccessfully, to call the class to attention, but most students were ignoring him. I mean, a lot of the students at the school were genuinely invested in their education and keen to learn, but a good half only sat through the lessons for the sake of their prestigious diploma. Why worry about trivialities like grades or detentions when your whole life is planned out for you decades in advance? Settle down, the teacher kept repeating. Regrettably, he could not yell at them. Alright, if you don't calm down, you're not going to find out that we have a new girl joining us today. Instantly, the classroom plunged into silence, broken only by a few whispers. A new student? In the middle of the year? Is she cute, I wonder? Oh, is this where love interest number 4 comes in? I wasn't particularly excited. I was used to their constant gossiping, and I couldn't care less if the class gained another student. I didn't know the existing ones very well to begin with. Come in. A subdued murmur rippled through the classroom, but I felt too lazy to even lift my head. But then I felt a strong shove in the back. Hey! I turned around and looked at Kyosuke. He sat there, mouth ajar. Who could the new kid be that even these overprivileged children would react like that? Oh. I see. The cherry petals are back. I faced the blackboard. The classroom was a whirlwind of scarlet cherry petals. Does anyone really find them beautiful? But how? Why? The girl from my visions, this visitor from the past, was standing just a few meters away from me. Well, go ahead and introduce yourself. My name is Catherine Winters. Actually, I know a few people here already. She quickly surveyed the classroom without pausing on anyone in particular. I look forward to studying with you. She deliberately distorted the standard Japanese greeting. Catherine Winters. So official. She'd always been just Katya to me. She was the one who I had watched the petals fall. Then she moved away. She just left and never really gave a reason. She left me alone, breaking my heart and shattering my dreams. I should have been mad, should have hated her even, but I couldn't. Ugh, how disgustingly trite and hackneyed it all was. Like I'd been trapped inside a second-rate shoujo manga. And she just needed glittering sparkles around her face and some wispy clouds in the background. I would wait for it. It was nothing I wasn't used to. I rubbed my eyes and pinched myself hard. Nope, not a dream. Hey Nick, why is she back? Do you know something? Why haven't you said anything? Kyosuke was prattling on annoyingly behind my back. My world had contracted into a dark tunnel, with me at one end, immersed in total darkness, and her at the other, bathed in light. Except that waiting for me at the other end was, surely, no paradise. Meanwhile, the teacher showed Catherine to her desk. She walked past me without so much as a glance. I was at a loss for words. Was I supposed to jump in the middle of the lesson and scream, "What are you doing here?" My classmates' initial astonishment had faded away in the meantime. Many did, in fact, know Catherine. She'd been a student at this school before. The rest probably just hadn't expected to see a foreigner. After all, there weren't many of them even at our school. I doubt they considered me a foreigner. That is, if they were aware of my existence at all. I met Katya in my first year of high school. Somehow we ended up dating. She and I, rather regrettable. Her mother had been working in Japan for quite some time, same as my parents. Time passed and everything seemed to be going well. Then one day Katya told me we could no longer be together. Something about her mother getting transferred. I could probably accept that story. I could forgive and forget. But didn't it hurt her even a little? What was I, just a coworker? Someone you simply cut ties with when you transfer to another office? Why, we should have an office farewell party. I would have stocked up on gifts. I'm sorry. Goodbye now. Cold, hollow, everyday words. And after all that, she was going to just show up in my class? Nice to meet you. I look forward to studying with you. Seriously? Was there not another school in all of goddamn Tokyo? I couldn't believe it. But still, somewhere deep inside, an ember of hope remained. What if she came back because of me? And that's the reason that she's here right now. Right. Hope springs eternal. I was watching the seconds go by slowly on the clock. Talk to her. I had to talk to her. The bell. At last. I worked up the courage and... She floated right past me, heading for the door. Had I been too slow? Too indecisive? What did it matter now? Hey, Nick, are you asleep or what? Kyosuke's words seemed to come from afar, as if from another world. What was I going to say to her? Hi, long time no see, how are things? Anyway, why didn't she approach me first? Was she scared? Shy? Nonsense. That wasn't like Katya at all. Then she must not have wanted to talk. I knew her too well. Kyosuke was shaking me frantically and muttering something, but I was ignoring him. Nika-kun? A new voice. Nika-kun! Himitsu. I lifted my eyes and looked somewhere past her. Earth to Nika-kun, do you read me? I snapped back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Yeah, what is it? You've forgotten again, haven't you? She was pouting comically. I knew you would, so I decided to come fetch you. What did she want with me? Fetch me? What for? Oh, right, we had made some kind of plan. But what did that matter now? Catherine had left, and she was moving further away with each passing second. Maybe the distance between us now was far greater than all the miles of the Pacific Ocean. But I had no idea what I was going to say to her. I had long been secretly hoping to get over her, to let go and move on with my life. And now this. Regardless, I had to make a decision. If I was going to run after her, I had to get going. Nah. No, I'm good. Me personally, I'm not a fan of like the ex-lovers trope. Maybe the route's good. I'm definitely gonna see the route at some point. But if I have to pick between Himitsu or Catherine, Himitsu, what you doing? Actually, I know exactly what you're doing. We made plans. How much longer was I going to let this continue? A surgeon has to excise the rotting flesh to prevent disease from spreading to the rest of the body. That's one way of putting it. Jesus. Since we were classmates now, I was bound to find out eventually why she had come back. Of course, I remember. I said confidently, stood up, took Himitsu by the hand, and headed for the door. Wait, what about? I turned and gave Kyosuke a glare so furious they shut up immediately.